I was worried about climate. I was fascinated by nuclear and the role that it could play. And in the United States, nuclear energy provides the majority of the clean energy in the United States, more than hydro. And that's not very well known by most people. But that's not a movie. That's not a very, you need characters. And so when I discovered there were these really young, idealistic people who had just finished getting their, coming out of the university with nuclear engineering degrees, and they said, we want to start nuclear companies and design brand new types of reactors that have never been built commercially before. I thought that sounds great. That sounds like so audacious and so inspiring, and so they're like the underdog, as we say in the United States, and that's who you want to root for, is somebody that is starting a nuclear company, but they're working out of their apartment on their laptop, and that's the nuclear company. So that's pretty iconoclastic to me in a way, and I thought that was just a wonderful, that made it a movie. That made it a character that you want to see grow and develop their business, and they have massive challenges, and there's massive risk, and there's no certainty that they're going to succeed at all, but you want them to succeed, and so that's what made it a movie for me. I was talking to somebody who hadn't seen the movie, but he went to our website and he saw, the teaser video, and he says to me, we were talking, he says, well, I haven't seen the movie, but from what I see, basically your movie is, you're making nuclear cool again. And I was like, yeah, that's what this is. We're making nuclear cool again. And, this is, this is very different from the old nuclear industry in every possible way. The only thing that's the same is that there's fission and, uranium involved. But other than that, and it's producing electricity. But other than that, everything about the company and these designs and everything is very different from the nuclear that everybody knows and has known for a very long time. And I thought that's a great opportunity to sort of reintroduce nuclear energy to the public. Well, it's funny because the existing fleet, I don't know about anywhere other than the United States, but in the United States, the existing nuclear industry really is controlled by the utility companies. We have utility companies, and if you think about the other energy, like let's just say the oil industry, right? Who controls the oil industry? The oil producers. It's about the fuel. You're selling fuel. That's the thing. That's where the money is. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, I think, a year, the oil industry. And so you have companies like, the Exxon and, other Statoil, big shale oil companies. That's the oil industry. But if you look at the nuclear industry, so if you said, well, what's that in the nuclear industry? You'd say, well, Urenco then, or it would be, people that have the fuel, right? Well, nuclear is so energy dense that there's no money in the fuel, because even if it's kind of expensive per gram, you don't need very many grams of it to, you're not using hundreds of millions of barrels of uranium, to yearly for nuclear, and thank goodness. But what does that mean? Well, then where is the money? The money is in the power that's produced, and that's the utility, that's the power company. And so the problem with that is that the power companies, the utilities, they don't have any allegiance to nuclear. They don't care if it's nuclear or gas or coal, whatever, they just want to make their money back. They don't care. So if the industry for nuclear is controlled by people who don't care about nuclear, well, look at what happened. The United States is a big disaster right now, and that's dying. So it's over. The nuclear industry is dead in the United States. It's breathing its last breath. They're never going to build another large-scale boiling water reactor, pressurized water reactor. That's never going to happen again. You have a small modular reactor company now called NuScale coming up. That's very exciting, and they're going to. That's the future. These advanced reactors. That's the future, and this is going to be what we need is a new model, a new business model for nuclear that keeps the industry in the hands of the people that it matters to, not the utilities. Because every other fuel source and every other energy source, whether it's solar, wind, gas, whatever, are all the powers in the hands of the people that are, affiliated with that technology. Well, of course nuclear failed. That's why it failed. So it's kind of good because now we have a chance to say, okay, that's over. Let's learn from that mistake and build something new for the future of humanity. Well, it's tough. Elon Musk is a guy he's kind of like some people call him like the Thomas Edison of our time. And when you think of what Elon Musk is doing, he's not doing anything very controversial. If he says, I want to make an electric car that's really, really fast and doesn't have any emissions, who's going to be mad at him for that? Or if he says, I want to make a rocket that could go into orbit and then land, and then we can use it again. Well, who's mad at that? Nobody's mad at that. That's inspiring and exciting stuff. So nuclear, I think the first thing that has to happen with nuclear is that it has to be cool, like the things that Elon Musk does, in the eyes of the broad public. And so you have people who are nuclear supporters, big nuclear supporters, people like Bill Gates or Jeff Sachs or, there's a number of, politicians even, but they'll say something positive about nuclear every so often, but they just don't want to be that guy. They don't want to be stigmatized as that guy who is pro-nuclear because they're interested in a lot of things and, people kind of gravitate towards that and it just kind of wastes their time, really, frankly. So I think there's a lot of resistance to do that. So hopefully a film like this will, give, sort of put a halo on nuclear and make more people feel like they want to be affiliated with it and they want to be part of this positive thing. And I think when that happens, you could have any number of Elon Musks, but I think Elon Musk is Elon Musk because he's doing things that everybody thinks is cool, and frankly, they thought it was cool before he was doing it. So he's just the guy who's made the most money doing it, and he's kind of charismatic.